job.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool.
Um, jail. Um, Job, jail owning business.
What?
Job, jail owning business.
Just above broke.
Jail owning business.
I don't understand jail owning business. What do you mean by jail owning business?
Because no, jail operating business. Because you have to ask for everything you have to do. You have to get permission to go to the bathroom. You have to get permission to take time off. You have to get permission to do every. You're no longer you are making this organization rich, and you are still. You,
All right, give me the acronym. Give me the acronym again. Give it to me again. Jail above.
No, jail.
Mm-hmm.
Operating.
Operating.
Business.
Business. I don't like
it. I don't care. It's something I heard today. So.
Something you heard today? Who's talking that nonsense today already? Come on now.
I'm not gonna tell you because you might think she's crazy, and I like her.
Well, you can still...
Her name is Valerie Love.
She can be crazy and you can still like her.
Yeah, I love her. I think she's crazy, but I love her. I think she's amazing.
Okay. All right, well, we're playing on the internet here. I'm going to welcome people to Wfov 92.1 LP FM Flint. It's Our Voices Radio. This is our second attempt at going live. And I'm thinking so far, so good. Although my device is touchy. The screen went bad. And I had somebody fix it that probably shouldn't have fixed it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so...
I need your assistance. I don't know.
It's not what I would call fixed.
Oh, what is it? It's gingerly repaired?
I'm going to say it's modified to the extent of not working properly.
That's...
It's amazing. I mean, I'm going to have to stick with something. I think I'll go with that. And we'll just do the back shot, and I'll leave it as that. So I told people to listen to WFOV 92.1 LP FM Flint. It's Our Voices Radio. We're a community service, Flint Odyssey House. And we're always looking for programming. So if you've got a testimonial, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, gambling abuse, why not call it abuse? If you have a testimonial of overcoming some obstacles in your life, we want to hear you. We want your story. We want to hear your testimonial, right?
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
So, are you a Christmas person? Define Christmas person.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I would like to know.
The kind that, I guess, the Christmas tree, the decorations on the door.
I haven't done that
the
in
lights.
eons.
Is it like? Is it supposed to be like that? Is it supposed to be a phase that you do it when you have kids, and then you expect your kids to do it when they have kids, and so on?
No, because I don't expect mine to do it when she has kids.
You are confusing me. Here, you talk to people and tell them about your week while I figure out your camera. Unbelievable.
I had a pretty good week. I just, like I said, I wish I could have had that 2 weeks off to work on some other things. It didn't work that way.
What would you have done with the 2 weeks off?
Prepared for something that I don't really want to talk about at this moment.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think this is just recording a video and not going to your Facebook.
Yeah, that's what's making me not a happy camper.
Well, we're gonna work on it. Give me a minute.
Yep. So, me and my makeup artist person.
Wait a minute. You got a makeup artist?
I do.
Wait a minute. How do you rate?
I rate high. I know people. That's what that's about.
You got friends in high places?
I got friends, well, not high enough to be invited to the mayor's.
Ooh, touche.
I'm just saying. But yes, I know people. I have people.
You have people?
Yes, I have people that know people that know people that know people that know me.
Well, we are going to have to get you on that list.
I don't know if I really want to be on the list.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
My thing, I don't aspire to be Flint famous.
Why not?
I just want to be me. And if that comes along with it, I don't aspire to be.
And you don't think you can be Flint famous and be Donnalicious? Is it Donnalicious?
Yes, I like Donnalicious. Yes.
I figured you
Yes,
would like
I
Donnalicious.
love being Donnalicious. It's amazing.
So you can be Donnalicious.
Yes, I can always be.
What do you do on New Year's?
I just think I'm spending it with somebody I want to spend it with. That's what I want to do.
Well, you were just so full of secrets today. What are you doing? Where is Donna? And what have you done with her?
I'm Donna, and I'm here. I haven't done anything
Donna,
with her.
you're usually willing to talk. Usually willing
It's something.
to...
There's a couple of items that kind of off the floor at this right now.
Right now.
Yes.
All right, so now I got to come up with the things that we can talk about
Well,
without
anything.
knowing...
Yeah. I'll gingerly let you know the things. I'll gingerly just move you towards another subject
Okay.
if I'm not interested in
All right.
talking about.
Are you a Black Mirror watcher? Have you seen the Black Mirror on Netflix?
I've watched it before, but right now I don't have an account with Netflix.
Really?
Right, but what I watched, I absolutely love.
Aren't they just kind
But
of mind bending?
Yes, there's another one on Sci-Fi. I think that's the name of the station that I absolutely love. The Magicians. Have you watched that?
No, I have not.
Oh, I love that show.
Why?
Because it's mystical, magical.
In a fake way or in a Gaia kind of...
Gaia kind of way. It has some, I think it has spiritual overtones, undertones, but you have to be there to know. Does that make sense?
I don't know. When you say mystical, I just think that's offensive to religious folks. It's not religion, it's mystical.
If they want me to be realistic with them, so is religion.
Stop. Drop.
And roll.
So what do you mean when you say mystical? You're watching this magician. It's on TBS, you said?
No, it's on Sci-Fi.
Sci-fi. Okay.
Yeah. It talks about tapping into into yourself.
Okay.
And allowing the magical essence of our beings. If I can say that, can I say that?
I don't see why you can't say that.
Okay, because we create. The Bible says.
Well, here, do this for me.
Speak those
I haven't
things
seen that. So compare it to Black Mirror.
I think it's almost the same, but a little different. Oh, okay. Let me put it like this. It's more like Harry Potter-ish. Can I say it that way?
Okay.
Okay. It's more Harry Potter-ish.
More mystical.
So we're back to where we started. Am I correct?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Okay.
Were you a Harry Potter fan?
No, well, at that time, I was really deep into my religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really didn't give it an opportunity. But it's something I will revisit.
So you haven't read any of it?
No.
Interesting. Now, you know I read all those books out loud.
Did you really?
With voices.
I like that.
I tell a story. My aunt was living with us.
Mm-hmm.
And the boys would cuddle up next to her. And I would read the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they would fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I would stop reading. And my auntie would say, a couple more pages, baby.
Right, right. And you know what? That's the best way to read a book, when you use your voices and the animation. That's how I read to Whitney all the time.
Well, then the movies came out. I had everything wrong. I was pronouncing every name in the book wrong.
Oh, wow. At least you gave it an attempt.
I tried, you know.
Yeah.
Hermione was Hermione's or something like that, and Snape was Snipe, and Albus. Oh my God!
But see, that's the fun part of being able to read the book first. You can create your own, and the imagination is amazing. And that's something I think going to school causes you to lose, is your creative ability.
I kind of agree. I kind of agree. I mean, a long time ago, I stopped exposing myself to things that I figured might taint my creativity. You know, how can
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's my idea when I may have seen it
Right.
there? You
Right.
know what I mean? I
Right.
want to know that it came from my insides
Right.
and
Right.
not from subliminally a bus sign that I saw somewhere.
And sometimes the subliminal bus sign is something that
I
was
like that.
supposed to spark that imagination to be birthed.
Right. I like the way that purple hits that, and I can
Yes.
use that somewhere, kind of
Yes.
thing. I get
Yes.
that
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Oh, not only with that, but when you're driving down the street and billboards speak to you, that is so amazing to me.
Now you're gonna have to define "speak to you" because we don't go to the same psychiatrist.
Okay, say for instance that you've been dealing with something and you ride past. No, you're contemplating on doing something, and you see this billboard and it says just and
But you pass that billboard 3 times a day.
but sometimes but not every
So now I
spirit.
gotta go to horoscope. Are you horoscopes?
I read them. I I listen and see. Everything has an opportunity to shift.
Right. Okay. So is horoscope considered mystical?
I don't know. I guess it's to whom you're asking. To me, I'm not going to say at this moment.
So
And the
now
reason I'm not going to say at this moment because I have, a lot of people say that they're open individuals,
Yes.
but they are so close-minded because they've been programmed not to accept everything.
But aren't they gonna just steal your power?
What?
Aren't those type of people just gonna steal your energy if they're not on the same wavelength as you?
Not if I'm strong enough.
Okay.
The and this is with everybody. The weakest link is the ones who can be or empath.
Well, here's my question. Should you avoid detractors? Should you avoid people that don't think like you, or should you surround yourself with them to strengthen yours? Come on in.
Come on. Hey,
There he is.
welcome, welcome,
You're gonna have to grab a
welcome.
chair from out there, Jake. I didn't know if you're gonna make it or not.
Now say that again.
Let me remind people that are listening to WFOV 92.1 LP FM Flint. It's Our Voices Radio.
Our voices real.
We're a community service of Flint Odyssey House,
I can't see myself.
and we're determined to make a difference. Here, let me flip it. Let's see if it'll flip. Because
No, just move that out the way.
I don't know how to do that.
Take your finger and swipe.
Okay, I'll let you take your finger and swipe. So come on in and sit between us, Jake.
There you go. Hi, Jake.
Hi.
You're
It's
just in
amazing
time.
to see you today.
Thank you.
Do you know Jake?
No.
You don't know Jake. Well, introduce yourself.
Hi, Jake.
Jake.
I'm delightful, Donna.
Delightful.
Today I'm delightful.
Yeah.
Next day I'll be dazzling.
See,
Yes.
it keeps telling me I can't
Changes.
turn your device. So I'm going to have to do it like that, and you're just going to be the star of your own show.
Move that.
See? Like that? Now, where's Jake?
There he is right there.
All right, Jake, so
there.
I'm making it. All right, go ahead. Introduce yourself, Jake.
I am Jake Kara. I'm a local reporter for 3 publications.
Your camera's here, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
that's your camera.
Yeah. Born and raised in Flint. Moved back just about 3.5 years ago.
Well, where were you?
I was in Maryland, and before that I was in North Carolina, and stops between LA, DC, Boston, and Missouri.
So Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
What brought you to Flint? Come on in, Angela. Go and get you a chair, too.
Yes, honey, yes.
Basically, I was just visiting home. I was trying to get a job in DC. I was here just for a couple weeks while in the summer, and I just noticed what was going on. I hadn't planned on moving back, but my parents still live in the city, and I just kind of started working. I originally worked for a French publication called New Zulu, doing just mobile spot news.
Okay.
Before I moved home, I went to grad school and for film, and got my MFA. And I was trying to teach, but and really hadn't planned on going back to the industry. I worked for a small production company on a couple of films in LA and Boston. That's why I was going around. But I was basically living in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have a National Black Theater Convention there.
They really do. I used to work at a restaurant called Sweet Potatoes.
Yes, I love Sweet Potatoes.
Yeah.
So
And Oprah would stop in. And it's kind of like, it was kind of cool.
Yes.
But yeah, after I did that, I was working at the Winston-Salem Journal.
So did you partake in the National Black Theater Convention?
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, I went to a couple shows. It's just, it's like a festival.
It's so
amazing.
amazing.
And it kind of overtakes the whole town.
It does. Oh my goodness.
But
that was one of the things I try to tell everybody that's in theater or film that they need to experience, because it was an amazing, amazing event for me.
Yeah, and they right around that time you also have the River Run Film Festival. The North Carolina School of the Arts is also in Winston, so they always have these huge kind of just theater, dance, and their symphony is amazing. I'm actually going back there in the new year just to visit some friends. And
awesome.
Go down to Asheville.
Yeah.
See the mountains.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that you've gotten acquainted,
you felt left out.
I did.
I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here. We got somebody else we need to introduce. Why don't you should we let her do it, or do you want to do it for her?
Yeah. So we have the bike lady here.
The bike lady.
And I call her that because that's what most people know her as.
Are you okay with that?
That's fine.
Wouldn't you rather be called young, gifted, and black than the bike lady?
Her name is Angela Stamps, though.
Angela's fine.
But her AKA is
The
The
bike
kids
lady.
the
name me
bike
that.
lady.
Nice. I've heard of her.
Have you?
I've heard of her episodes at Burston Fieldhouse.
Yes.
I've heard of her bike rides
Amazing.
in the summertime.
Mhm.
I've heard of her positive energy.
Yes.
And
all
I
that.
never met her.
Yes, you have. She's been here before. Don't be acting like you don't know people.
Okay.
Oh, we saw
I
each
know.
other yesterday. You saw me riding
I
yesterday.
did.
You did. I saw that car and I was like, wow, I've never seen a car like that before.
She caught me hiding out, over by Kersley Reservoir. What was that, Branch Street over there? Branch and...
Oh, yeah, that's over there by the,
the stand-up bar or something. I can't remember.
is there
what it
a mobile home park over there?
Yes.
I go up in there.
The other side, there's a little park and a little parking area.
Really?
And I take Isaac over there to run.
Oh.
I need to know about that because I invade that park.
like that
that
spot?
yes,
What is
it's
that called
beautiful.
over there?
I want to say it's got to be Riverside Park. If not, they've misnamed it.
Right. And
It's
it's
named after those apartments over there.
You know what? I just looked at the sign yesterday when I saw her, and
I almost want to
Branch
say
Park?
Edgewood or something wood.
yeah.
Mm,
I'll agree with what you just said.
yeah.
But it is really, it's
So,
so beautiful.
What do you do in the wintertime with the bicycles?
Well, actually, we're starting something new.
I
Okay.
can't see you.
She can scoot up. Come on, let's scoot up just a little bit. We're friendly.
Hi, everybody. We're trying something new. I mean, I still ride, but I think I'm the only female that I actually see on the streets riding, still in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess people just aren't aware that they can do it.
Do you have a limit? I mean, if it's 20 or below, do you
There
go?
is a threshold,
And what is that?
negative 25.
What? Are you kidding me? Come on, why not?
Well, that's the threshold in Alaska. See, the thing is in other parts of the world, Sweden, even in other parts of the country, Portland, Oregon, New York, Boston, all these places where they have 4 seasons, people are still riding. I think people here just don't realize that it's possible.
Well, see, this is the
And
thing.
Minnesota.
We talked about this last week, that a lot of it has to do with the people in Michigan being transportation snobs.
Agreed.
And then I feel like our town has been tricked because we get the name Vehicle City.
Right.
Because, you know, up in Lansing they're riding.
All year round?
All year round. But they have the infrastructure set up as so that, you know, the bike lanes and stuff, the roads are cleared all the time.
And then it's a lot. So I think as you go to the smaller cities.
And then that's a college town too.
Right. And yeah, so that.
Because I wasn't aware that you could ride either until my ex-boyfriend told me that college professors ride to school in Minnesota.
And it would make more sense because parking usually on college campuses
it's expensive.
and hard to find.
Hard to find and it's expensive.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, my son
And not to
longboarded the class. He'd take a skateboard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. And see, to me, not to talk about gyms and going to the gym, but honestly, that just doesn't really make sense to me.
Me either.
To drive a car, to go to a gym and work out on machines, when I was able just to come down here and run an errand, and I call it 2 for 1. I hopped on my bike to come down here to meet you, to work on your makeup. I got in 4 miles one way.
Right.
And that's not even doing anything extra.
Jake, do you ride? Jake, do you ride?
Yeah, I got
ride
2 bikes. Yeah, usually. But since I live kind of 1 block away, I kind
You
of
really
walk.
should have run. Oh, you walked.
Yeah, I walk.
Okay,
and,
okay.
Yeah, but
But yeah, that's the
mostly
same thing.
for reporting. I have to have the car, but usually I really try to ride everywhere.
Well, you know what I saw the other day.
It makes a huge difference. It really does. I mean, I have the cargo van, and there are some times where, like, maybe transporting cases of water to deliver for my aunt, or I just have a whole bunch of stuff that I can't necessarily carry on my bike. But if I had, like, a cart or something that was connected to it, I mean, I saw...
Have you seen the cargo bikes?
Seen the cargo bikes.
I'm interested in that.
They also have attachments. There's a place in Canada where people are like transporting recyclable goods. I mean, I punched in one time on the computer, Googled Angie's Bikes, and came across this group in Minnesota. They were taking like tents and all kinds of stuff to go do events.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
So you can just attach like a piece to the custom made like carts that you attach to the back of your car. You could literally go out and do a picnic, transport all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, are you willing to just figure out a way to make it happen? And before I had the cargo van, that was the only way I traveled, so I had no choice but to just make it work. I mean, I've been at the worst time we know to go to the grocery stores when you're hungry. And when I was in LA, I would go to multiple stores because of the way that I eat. I like this thing at this store and that thing at that store. So one day, I mean, I had so much stuff, and I'm like, how am I going to get this home? Well, I mean, I, you know, put some in some bags, distribute it across the handlebars. I make sure I take an empty backpack, so then I can just fill it with stuff, and then I rolled on home. And then, you know, you have the bike rack. You can strap some stuff on there. And what I like about it...
And that's weighted, so it helps with all kinds of other issues.
Absolutely. Also, too, it helps with my critical thinking skills and my ability to solve problems on the spot.
And the reason being is because you're breathing, inhaling oxygen and exhaling the carbon, and it's not in a confined... Right. So
absolutely.
Right. So
I agree.
It gets those brain juices flowing.
And I couldn't ride for a few weeks because I had a procedure done, and I just noticed like my back was starting to stiffen up, and I'm like, that's not normally how I feel. I normally feel good. I like how the flexibility at my age. I was at the doctor. They asked me my age, and I told them, and they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm 48," and they were like, "We thought you were in your 30s." It's the biking.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wrote about you a little while ago.
You did? Thank you.
Flint side, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And who do you write for again?
Flint Side, the Detroit News, and PBS.
Amazing.
Oh, nice.
We have a celebrity here.
We do.
Yes, you do. Thank you for acknowledging.
Oh, not you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. You are as well.
But it's really, I really do like the work you do in the community. do you know John and Cassie Mason?
Absolutely. Those are John installed our bike racks at Burston.
Yeah.
John and Cassie, those are my babies. Yeah. But back to the question, what we were doing for the winter time. I must admit, today's ride was very challenging because it's colder. You have on more gear.
It was really windier yesterday.
Windier yesterday, but I feel like it was colder today. And the wind, my cousins was telling me one year because I was struggling. She was like, "Cuz the wind is the Arctic air. It's heavier. You have on more gear." But I finished. So what are we going to try this year, though, is because I'm always being told when I do the bike rides that I ride too fast. And I think that I'm going slow. But
no, you're not. Let's put that on record. You are not going slow.
But when I talk to my kids that are seasoned veterans, they agree with me. But I'm like, you know what, guys? We have to remember how we felt when we first started.
Right.
And we have to meet people where they are.
There you go.
If we're really trying to be a conduit and assist people.
Right.
So I have a young lady scheduled. Shout out to Trish Crane. We're going to start indoor cycling at Burston. We have a track. So what she's going to do, which I'm very excited about, because what this will do is if she wants to ride 4 times a week, I suggested just to start out with 2 just to kind of get in the rhythm. But what this is going to do, because the track is in the gym upstairs, she's going to have to go get a bike from my room in the basement. She's going to have to go 1, 2, 3 flights of stairs. So that's going to help her with her range of motion and her upper body. And then she's going to cycle around that track for 45 minutes to an hour. So
and I am hoping to incorporate
juicing,
my juice therapy along with this.
Absolutely.
So that, because I am a certified raw food chef specializing in juice therapy, and I'm an herbologist.
Wait a minute, repeat that again. That was a whole mouthful. You are a certified what of good of what?
A certified raw chef.
Chef.
Explain what that is.
Oh, preparing.
Thank you, Angela.
Preparing.
People don't know, you know what I mean?
Preparing raw fruits and vegetables in a manner to where they are almost in a gourmet style.
So isn't that an oxymoron? How are you going to prepare raw?
You can prepare raw. You can't cook raw. There's a difference.
Okay. But I mean,
so sir, you don't go below a certain temperature.
Well, I'm not. Oh, for the we don't really do any heating.
Except
but
for the dehydration.
We can do dehydration,
but
right?
Those only go to
like 115, nothing under that.
My machine, I think, goes to like 160, but like somewhere in that.
Yeah,
range.
that
is hot.
Well, yeah,
no,
160
it's not
is,
really. It's not.
But we try not to go. We try to stay as.
And is that a scientific thing that it starts breaking
it
down
start
above
killing the enzymes.
The
you don't want
die.
you want the enzymes to stay in place, because the enzymes is what actually helps you to digest your food and gives you the nutrients that your body
So let me ask this question: Does the heat generate new enzymes, or just eat it raw? Why are you heating it at all?
That's what I was saying. I wasn't really talking about the dehydrating part.
Okay.
That's just something you do if you're doing something really, really. No.
You gotta store it.
Yes, but I do like a raw taco, where you use your lettuce and like your almonds or cashews and the pulp from your juicing. And it actually and some Mexican seasonings, and it'll taste just like a taco. And your shell would be your lettuce.
Didn't you do that with something this summer at the Father's Day?
Oh, I did.
What did you do?
Jackfruit.
Jackfruit. That's right.
Yes, I barbecued jackfruit, and doing that, it tastes like pulled pork.
Ta-da!
Yeah, jackfruit's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
So how do I know this isn't just a new fad? How do I know that this just isn't a new thing?
I mean, for a long time.
They told us we couldn't drink milk. Now they're telling us we could. We couldn't eat eggs. Now we can.
Excuse me, who told you you can still drink milk?
I'm sure it's the dairy people,
yes,
right?
Yes, the dairy people.
But the dairy itself is actually really hard for your body to
And for people of color, we cannot digest it. Most of us are lactose intolerant.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the message
what
changes.
What other animal in the animal kingdom drinks milk
outside of their own species?
Outside of their own species.
I have always said that.
And when do they?
For me,
I love cheese and ice cream, but it's so not.
Well, I don't count cheese and ice cream as milk.
Well, it is.
I understand. It's a byproduct. It's not milk. It's a product created with milk. Like cake is a product created with flour.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is not the pure form of it.
And this is true.
Plus, you bake it out or you mold it out.
You don't bake it out. It's still there. It's an ingredient.
It's the lactose, the chemical composition of it.
And it
still
causes
exists.
a lot of problems.
Inflammation. Well, most of our issue with our health is inflammation.
Well, just because I assume it's not doesn't mean it isn't. Because I like ice cream. And I love cheese more than ice cream.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like cheese? I love cheese. I love ice cream. All of that good stuff. But I mean, if my quality of life is going to be compromised because of it, I have to decide: do I want to go with the cheese and the medication, or do I want to go without cheese and be able to have a better quality of life?
Well, the thing of it is moderation. If we can stay moderate, and my moderate is different from your moderate, it should be very limited. Of whatever
but they have some alternatives too, though. Like you're saying with the cashew cheese, there are other ways that you can make cheese.
True, but it's an acquired taste, and people usually don't have the time, or they don't take the time. It takes every 7 years your taste buds change, and it takes about 10 times an exposure to a certain item to acquire taste for it. And most people, because of texture, they may not like it. And once they taste it, they're like, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, and then this one guy said, I heard him on some video, he said 3 months for your taste buds to change. That's a long time.
3 months
of
eating something you don't like before you'll start liking it?
But it all depends.
That's what I'm like, she's saying 10 times. I mean, it takes some
but,
time, but it's just like with water. I mean, like if you start out, if you're a soda juice person,
right,
and then you start drinking water, that's going to be foreign for a while. But over time, you adjust, and then when you go back and try to drink a soda,
and it because it took him 2-3 months doesn't mean it's going to take 3 months for me. It all is subjective. There's nothing that is written in stone. Just because it worked for me in 2 days, it may work. It may take you 2 years to acquire a taste. So
listen, I'm going to remind people to listen to WFOV 92.1 LP FM Flint. We're a community service of Flint Odyssey House. And we actually started this conversation. I'm going to just switch gears. If you want to jump back. But we were talking about Black Mirror.
Right.
And Black Mirror took us to The Magician.
Right, The Magician.
Which took us to Harry Potter. Which brought us around here somewhere.
But you know what? It goes with what our theme is: eclectic rambling.
Well, we're truly rambling today.
Hey.
So I guess Jake, you came in when we were talking about the Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror?
I'm not caught up, but I know that there's a new film that they just put out on Netflix. Black Mirror is
the movie.
The movie.
I haven't seen it.
On Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't.
Is it a movie or is it a series? It's a series.
It's a Twilight Zone series kind of thing.
And they also made a
A
movie.
movie
An
too?
interactive movie.
Get out! I'm gonna have to revisit Netflix.
You know, we should do a watch party.
That would be wonderful.
I'm trying to figure out how to use these watch parties, but we could do a watch party and watch Black Mirror together. On interactive mode.
Angie has a movie that series that she's been watching called The Harlots.
What?
So good. It's about 17th century prostitution in London.
Oh. And they had it going on, didn't they?
That's where I stole his whole heart on my cheek from.
You like that?
Yes, from the costuming. It's brilliant.
Okay, what does it represent? Something? What does it mean?
Oh, to me, it just shows why women are treated
the heart.
The heart. Oh, does the heart represent something? It was just a part of the costuming. I don't think it necessarily was.
I bet you
specific.
it has. I bet you it has a Victorian
I'm sure it
heritage.
does. I'm just not aware of it.
Like the teardrop
series. The series. Well, the teardrops. That's
different. Quite different than the heart.
Yeah, but the series itself is so informative because it explains why women are treated the way that they're treated today, and with the whole Me Too movement. I mean, essentially every one, I think, out of 2 women, don't quote me on the statistic there, was a prostitute. And that was the only way she could make a living, either a secretary or prostitute or like a nun.
I saw a documentary. I've been watching a lot of crazy YouTube stuff.
This is really
Go ahead,
stressing me off.
Take it. Well, what's it say? Am I having a good day or a bad day?
Yeah.
275. So I keep the strength of my glasses on my glasses, so I know what kind of day I'm having. That's good. That's better than a 350 day. Right? But now I'll never know.
Yeah, it's gonna say right here. Whenever you want to know, just come over here and look.
This pair of glasses. You think I keep them that long, right?
No.
All right, so you'll do a watch party with me.
Sure.
Jake.
Sure.
Angela. I don't know. Angela might need to watch Black Mirror first so that she can decide. Because she's never. Well, that's even better though, right?
Yeah.
That's even better. We'll have Virgin Eyes on it.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we're gonna make that happen.
You said the show is Harlots. Yeah. And that's
It's 2 seasons, and I mean, it's just, I was just blown away. These married aristocratic men have wives, but then they contract with these harlots to have them as, I guess, a side piece, and he takes care of his harlot. And then, like, there's a mom, a character in there.
Is she a madam?
Right, she's well, it's a couple different madams that battle with each other. One is more established, and there's another one who used to work for the more established, higher class boys.
I'm hearing this all in my head. Pip pip cheerio, I say, oh dude.
So she's trying to get her house going, but I mean, it's just deep to me, her choices, because the first show, she's auctioning off one of her daughter's virginity. And that's literally like the only choice I guess she saw in her mind for her kid to be set up for life, because she didn't want her to, I guess, just to be like the average prostitute.
Oh.
Wow.
I mean, they're on the streets getting it done. It's just crazy. You have to watch it. They flog people.
You know, I'm gonna say I saw. There was was it Adam Ruins Everything when they talked about the women in Wyoming and the prostitutes in Wyoming and how they built all the cities in the West off of the brothels.
Yeah.
That they became the richest citizens in the towns, and they built the schools and they built the businesses. So when the United States invited Wyoming to join the Union,
They told them what?
they told them that you couldn't. Their women had the vote in Wyoming. And the United States says you can't. You got to take the vote from the women if you want to join the United States. And Wyoming says, we'll come with our women, or we won't come at all.
Oh yes, Wyoming. That's what I'm talking about.
How you like that?
Wow.
Boom. So yeah, prostitution has had a powerful role throughout all times.
All
It's
time.
just-
I mean, we got biblical times,
Yes.
on and on.
They used to, well, I heard it's been said that it's the oldest profession, but they actually said farming is.
I don't
They
know. The
probably
farmer,
go in.
the
They
farmer
probably
was
go
diddling
in.
somebody.
Well, I saw a documentary over in New Zealand where girls were paying off their college debt.
Ah,
This is like in the 2000s.
okay.
It's not,
Wow.
because it was easier than getting like a 9 to 5.
So why is it illegal? I don't understand.
Because it's the same reason why marijuana is illegal.
Well,
You
but
can't
they
tax
taking
it, but
that.
it's not illegal in Vegas.
It's not legal in Amsterdam. It's not legal in other countries, right? It's legalized.
I mean, I
Because
think
America wants to control everything.
But this is
Well, if they
something
can
that
get their
rich white
taxes for it, I think they would probably.
right. This
embrace
is
it
something that
more.
rich white men have been benefiting from for years.
Yeah.
So if they created Viagra, I'm just gonna stop right there.
Well, I think the sponsorship of Odyssey House. I mean, we're talking about Me Too, and I don't want to speak for the movement. I think it's really important to really acknowledge that the Violence Against Women Act expired yesterday. I mean, there's a lot, even in our own community, of missing women on the South Side.
And the human trafficking.
And human trafficking, and pushing people into these dark corners because of the value systems we're talking about, even with the show you were talking about.
Right.
And, gay marriage, that took almost 10 years for the country to kind of warm up to it, and then it just kind of pushed over.
Well, it's just
but you know what? It's
Yeah.
still a lot of people that have a problem with
Right,
that
but
community.
And then that's why I mean, like, with the laws in place, that's what it's going to take. I mean, I think that's what we're really talking about, is how those values are, like, dispersed in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has a lot to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's hard to get the values of loving people without, the attaché of, like, well, we're going to love you conditionally.
Right.
And I think that bringing people out of the shadows, especially when it comes to drug addiction, when it comes to all these taboos, prostitution, if we can talk about it more and get it out of this realm of something that's sacrosanct or taboo and kind of nudge it towards the center, maybe we can make some...
And once religion begins to love everyone like they say they do, we can make that.
Also, too, I think people just need to mind their own business. What difference does it make who you're laying down with in your bed? That's really none of my business.
Who? I don't want to know.
You understand what I mean? It's like, why would I be so concerned with who somebody is sleeping with if it doesn't involve me? I don't really get that one. Why do I have to control to that extent what goes on in your home?
But if just to play devil's advocate, then if I had kids, would your kids go to the same school? Or if I was gay and I had kids, could my kids go to where your kids go? Would you take, you know what I'm saying? It's like, minding your own business works to a certain extent.
But I'm talking about in the home, when we go to school, who my parents sleep with shouldn't be of any importance at school. We should be talking about school subjects that pertain to school, math, science, blah, blah, blah. Who my parents are, who they're sleeping with. How does that even? Why would that even be involved in school?
But this is what happens. Kids will see two fathers dropping off a child, and like
I might not agree.
Becomes your business once your mom. Did you know Johnny has two fathers? And then mom has explained, or dad has explained why. What does that mean? Johnny has two fathers. And
I don't know how I would necessarily explain that, but I don't know.
But you have to explain the oak tree. You have to explain a fence. You have to explain a bicycle.
Right, and I'm not saying it's something that is a bad thing, but it will be something that you would have to explain. So that's the problem. I don't think they want to.
But if you
force the conversation.
Yeah, they don't want the conversation. They want to avoid.
Well, here's the thing. To me, if you really love unconditionally, then you can explain it from that perspective. They have what they do behind closed doors.
True that.
You understand what I'm saying?
But most people don't have that wherewithal to do that.
Because I personally, my mom's a bishop. So, and we know what the Bible says. I'm sure everybody in here is aware of it. But
no, I have no idea. What does the Bible say?
My mother embraced, plus she was a self-taught pianist. She had singing groups. So, in that world, the gay community is there. And it was not uncommon to have a choir director that was gay, that stayed at our house. Or like, I have a cousin, shout out to my cousin Kitty, and maybe, that's maybe my affection and higher level of tolerance and embracing that community, because our gay cousin would do our hair, and he did a much better job than a lot of chicks that did our hair. He was much more sensitive. He was really kind, and just a sweetheart. So
but that is not the norm.
So but I'm saying,
in religion.
That's what I'm saying. So
that's
my mother, she would have her church is non-denominational right now. So I was raised, and my sister, her name is Medina. Her dad was Muslim, and it's because of him that I've never eaten pork in my life, because they don't eat that in Islam. So my mother, I think, was progressive for her time. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so being raised in that way where we went to all kinds of churches.
But this
Caucasian,
is the thing:
all
most
black,
people
like,
aren't raised that way.
So
they're
it's always,
they're raised with prejudices.
we all have prejudices, though, Donna.
But they don't keep them to themselves.
Again, yeah, I think that's part of the the transgender argument is when these lines start crossing, and when you do need policy that becomes law.
Yeah,
and I think that the hardest part of that conversation is that there are moral absolutes for people. There are lines that they will never cross, and I think that that's part of the issue is that people will shut down. I mean, we live in a very divided time because I think I'm just speaking for me. I'm not. I don't say I have any kind of specialization, but I really do think that the more we hold on to these kind of like red lines, it's just going to get harder for people
when
on
you
the
say
margins.
red line, tell me what you mean.
Well, I think that if you're talking to people of a certain age, talking about transgender rights or LGBTQA or even gay marriage. I mean, we started out, by the way, I just want to, because we are doing the eclectic rambling, we did start out with drugs. And, when it comes to like women's rights, individual rights, that has to have a moral absolute. That has to protect, because you're not protecting the majority, you actually have to look out for the minority. You have to look out for the people that are
women
on
are
the
not
margins.
even a minority in our country.
I'm not. I mean,
Oh, you
on
just
all
said
these,
general.
on all these,
Okay.
whether we're talking about gay marriage, transgender, or, I mean, even the progressive rights in certain Dutch countries where they allow for needle exchanges, or bringing addiction out of these kind of taboo
Secret places.
shadow, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's because if you allow people to feel safe, and that's what
Right.
laws can do. I mean, I'm a white guy sitting with 3 African Americans, and just not too long ago,
Right.
and that's the thing is like that's happened in my dad's lifetime.
Right.
And I just really, I think that if we keep going towards these moral absolutes, it can just, unfortunately, you can just kind of you can take it out of thin air. It can just be however you're feeling that day. I don't want it, not in my town, not in my school, not in my church. And if you're just stuck there, then that becomes
So my question is, how do we change that norm? Because all of this, what you're saying, is a norm that's constantly being transferred to their children and their children's children and the children's children's children. So how do we break this to where we can be all inclusive versus these, as you say, red line kinds of stuff?
I have a suggestion. Get out of your comfort zone and out of your neighborhood and out of your community and go and interact with people that don't look like you and don't believe and think like you.
And how do you suppose that they do that when they already
Well,
have this
I know
preconceived notion about what happens when they go in those areas?
Well, you can have a preconceived notion, but I know for me, since I've started cycling, in the cycling world, you're so exposed to everything that I can have a breakdown in a community that might not be my normal community. So I've had to lean into that community for help.
Right. And
so exposing myself.
Paul has an experience with that.
So exposing myself that way, I've learned that I need to be friendly and kind to everyone I meet because I may need their assistance. Right. So that's just my approach. But I've been out there.
That makes 100% sense.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Have you found yourself being friendly and kind to someone and they didn't reciprocate?
Absolutely.
And how did that make you feel, and what did you do to get out of that?
Sad for them.
True.
Well, when we go back to the way of the Tao, the 4 agreements, you're not supposed to take anything personal. Right. Now, that's one of the hardest concepts of the 4 for me to wrap my psyche around. Mm-hmm. But I've had friends tell me, you're planting the seed, huh, Donna? So I try not to feel any kind of way about that.
Because you say it's their problem and not yours.
I mean, you could say that. I'm just saying, hi, it's not that big of a deal.
Right. And how do you deal with those issues?
It's I work. I work in media, so I have to.
And listen, let me say it this way, in a little snide kind of way. How do you deal with those issues coming from the privileged community?
Yeah, I am privileged. I grew up as a middle class Irish kid on the West Side.
Right.
You know, my dad was a social worker. My mom was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the Lutheran church, but I am agnostic. But I do.
You are?
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, let me just interject. Do you think with your dad being a social worker, that may have helped a little bit?
Yeah, I think that my mom's family is really religious, and he was, they at least challenged me to kind of be open and treat everybody the same.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I also think if you can take it one step further, and beyond the golden rule, beyond, again, these kind of ethical conundrums we're finding ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
But if at your worst, we all know we have those bad days.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
At our worst, can we still find acceptable? Can we still accept ourselves even after that? We have to, because we have to go on living. So I think that's kind of like a state of, I mean, you brought up the Tao, the middle path. It's a state of acceptance. Everybody's trying to improve themselves, raw diets, but, you know, self-improvement, in my opinion, is kind of a myth. Because how can you improve yourself when you're the one that needs improving? I think that more along the lines, if we can get more to the idea, and this is something I'm working on a lot lately.
That's a self-help book, isn't it?
Just acceptance. If you're going to try and change these things, and that's where all these, that's where you get, that's where you're going to get friction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you can just, I mean, we're all going to find somebody we don't like.
So are you
Also,
saying we just accept?
Yeah.
What's happening? Just accept it.
Accept people for, and you said meet them where they're at. You know, you said that. You gotta.
Well,
you can,
also too, if we believe in the concept of oneness, then no matter what body we feel, we reflect each other. So I really truly believe that if I harm someone, I'm harming myself because they mirror me.
Right.
So when I approach it from that perspective, and don't get me wrong, I get very frustrated with this town. I'm trying to help these people. We got a lot of problems. Nobody's out here riding a bike around, especially a female. Like, it's really hard some days. But then I say to myself, especially people that I admire, that I study, you know, like a Harriet Tubman who's, you know, walking in the middle of the night, or Edison who tried over 10,000 times to try to get that incandescent light, or listening to a Napoleon Hill who says things like, you know, why don't you try all of the wrong ways until you figure out the right way?
Right.
I thought that was Dr. Seuss. That was Napoleon Hill?
So when you approach it from that perspective, so silly.
I'm sorry, 1, 2.
You're able to, even like you say, on having a bad day, you can accept that bad day, but then the next day you can make a choice to try something different.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just I believe that that's why having courts make those decisions when we talk about gay marriage, we talk about transgender rights, when we talk about, you're not, because that's what it's there for. It's to kind of say, well, no, you're not going to have this majority kind of just say, well, you can't just go to school, or you can't use that bathroom, or you can't even go to the, you know, and because I mean,
the bathroom
we do that over and over and over again, because we always
going to give those tickets out
most of the time. And this is, and
I've been in, like, sorry to interrupt, but I was at a gym, and it seemed like this was in LA. And this when I used to do the gym thing, and we just started having, like, I don't know if you would call them transgender or if they had already, went full on sex change switch or whatever. But there was this one guy who would, for the life of me, I never understood. He would wear these like mannequin wigs. They were terrible. And he would wear like baby t-shirts and tennis skirts. What woman works out in that in the gym? Okay, and he would be in the bathroom with us.
Well,
that made me uncomfortable.
Well, I'm gonna say the same thing because that happened to me in the theater world.
It kind of scared me.
I was in the restroom and I came out and this person wasn't transgender, but I knew that person thought of themselves as being woman, and it
startled me.
Very.
So
disturbed.
Doesn't that mean we just have to get over our nakedness?
True.
If we're comfortable in our skin, that's not an issue. If it's not if they're not tapping you or hitting on you.
And they wouldn't because they're not interested in what I have.
That's not necessarily true either.
That's not necessarly true either.
Really?
Why not? I mean,
I've
you
heard
can
of folks
flip-flop all the
change
time.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
Maybe that's where why my spirit didn't agree with it. But I just had to. I just had to
be kind.
Even at that, unless it's acted upon.
And I just had to take my breath and let it go. And I didn't make a big deal out of it.
Well, no, because you don't want to embarrass the person.
It did startle me.
It was unsettling.
It was very uncomfortable for me.
I don't know how I would react if there was a woman in the bathroom. I don't think. One, the stalls are closed.
Some woman in there.
You know what I mean? So you're really private anyway.
Again, I go to the gym, and I also go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so there is that weird you changing but there is this thing at the gym where you just see a bunch of old guys walking around naked. Now they're always in there. I don't know if they're ever leaving the locker room, but that's wrong too. That's wrong too. So that makes me uncomfortable too. But I think that we're talking about instances, and the real baffling statistic is we're fighting so hard for a very, very, very small population to feel comfortable about using the bathroom, when the higher rates of assault overwhelmingly happen in the home, happen between a family
people
member or friend, and again, I hate to bring up the Violence Against Women Act, but that's why it's important to demystify that feeling, because what we're bringing into it is how you're telling the story. You're coming from it from a place of it's uncomfortable. But that's how the story gets passed along.
Right.
It's going to make me feel uncomfortable
I tell you what.
instead of actually knowing that, this is, it's so rare. You got a better chance getting hit by lightning than being assaulted by a transgendered person or a kid.
Well, listen, we're going to have to stop
that's
it there.
all.
I'm going to let Donna say goodbye.
Goodbye. I sure am gonna miss you guys.
I'm gonna let Jake say goodbye to 2018. We're saying goodbye to 2018.
Bye, 2018. Thank goodness.
And we're gonna let Angela, you gonna say goodbye to 2018?
Deuces.
And then I'm gonna say hello, 2019.
So why do you get to say hello and we have to say goodbye?
Because I wanted to just get the razor edge going.
Okay.
And now you guys can say hello to 2019.
I am so excited to meet you, 2019.
Please, just let's get over 2018 and please be better 2019.
Yes.
Angela?
Agreed.
Mom, all the good I do is because of you. Goodbye, everybody.
Recovery Radio.
And you're listening to my favorite radio station?
No, my favorite radio station. Wfov 92.1 FM Flint. Let's get sober.